So we were founded in 1992 as a community dance studio and doing community programs, and we still do a lot of community-based programs. In about 1998, we started really looking at, how could we work in schools? Because in the San Francisco Bay Area, which I think is common throughout California, the model for working in schools was some dance company would get some money and go do some little short residency somewhere. And then that's it, and then go. So inadvertently perpetuating that myth that dance is entertainment, it's a frill, it's a fun little thing, kind of like a field trip, but it's really not part and parcel of a comprehensive education, despite the fact that at that time there were visual and performing arts standards and framework in California that most people were on board about, but people didn't understand how to work with them and whose responsibility was it? Was it the classroom teacher? Was it the artist? The classroom teachers didn't often feel confident that they knew enough about dance. So we decided, okay, that residential model is not acceptable to us. We'd both done that in our stints as dancers and choreographers and just found that it wasn't working. We felt like we were contributing to something that was just making everybody feel bad about or more mysterious about dance. So we started looking at some other things. And then later, as you all know, in 2009, when the Hewlett Foundation published Unfinished Canvas, they found what we knew to be true for that whole 11 years before that, which is despite the standards and the framework and all of the initiatives to bring dance to all the children in California, poor children were disproportionately served and dance and theater were disproportionately served. So and there's a lot of reasons behind that that are beyond the scope of this little session, but that was a fact. So we just said, okay, well, what can we do about it? Teachers we had a huge professional development component for teachers. They were coming in droves to us. And so we talked to Phil Reedy, who's the Visual and Performing Arts Manager of Oakland Unified School District, and we said, we will find the bulk of the money, but we want you to put a little bit of money to helping us build an infrastructure for dance in Oakland. Not just what school, wants to have a little bit of dance, but really build, and let's just see what can happen. And at the same time, Oakland, which of course was under the state, was getting split apart into some small schools. And a brand new principal at HIghland Academy was a former dancer and called us up and said, when I take my job in September, I want dance to be a part of it. So we said, okay, would you be willing to make a 5-year commitment to building it over time? Because we can't just come blam in and make a perfect program the first day. Your teachers have to understand what's going on and take leadership and responsibility for it. We have to pilot things, we have to try it and assess as we go. Are you willing? So she said, absolutely. So we went in, and I think the first year we did first grade, kindergarten, and third grade. And then each year, and then we'd assess it, and each year we'd move out, try another grade. Simultaneously, and I'll leave this back there for y'all to look at, we realized that the standards were written in such a way that really felt incomprehensible to classroom teachers and also to the dance artists that we were working with. So we created this blueprint for teaching and learning dance K-12 for the Oakland Unified School District. And basically what we did is we kind of did a theoretical context of why dance, that kind of, and Brian, 15 minutes ago said to me the best reason for dance is it's life. Dance is life. And dance celebrates the cycle of life and death with every single breath and every single movement, because we're living cells. And our whole self is making art, body, mind, it's moving forward. So there's a rationale. Then we look at academic content standards for each grade, and we write about them. And then we look at what dance standards make sense for the academic content, so that dance is no longer in service to the academic content, but it's a partnership right there. so we kind of look at those, and then we have some sample units of just ways that and also what would be a progression of the units throughout a whole year. And so we have that through K-5, and then we also have simultaneously we did a inquiry project at 2 local middle schools, and like, okay, where does dance live in the middle school? And then we also worked with all Oakland Unified School District each high school has a dance specialist, so we worked with them to say, what are you doing? And how can we prepare your kids for you? You know, if you could have the 9th graders that really had dance K through 8, what would that look like? And basically that was a very simple process. I bought them dinner once a month, and we talked, and they shared their work. And their work isn't quite in here yet, but because that's still, we're trying to make it a common formula. But so this blueprint is what we then decided to pilot in a very earnest way with a lot of assessment built in at New Highland. And now I think we are in our 6th year, entering our 6th year. And as I said, every child K through 5 has dance. So what made it possible? So first of all, and also they're creating, performing, and responding using the language of dance at a pretty sophisticated, grade appropriate level. There are also the 4th graders take field trips to the local middle school, and they do dance shares. 4th graders went to the local high school and did dance shares. The 5th graders went to San Francisco for the Bay Area Celebrates National Dance Week One Dance Flash Mob opening and performed their original work. So they're also connecting dance in the community as best we can. So what made it work? A commitment to the long term. This principle is also pretty magnificent. Student test scores have risen at the school. We don't think it's because of dance, but we do think it's because of zero teacher turnover. And I think that's in part because she has built this community that's fantastic, but maybe in part it's because they have a strong dance and visual arts program, I don't know. And a lot of this school is situated in a very poor and violent-ridden neighborhood, lockdowns periodically. So the teacher is now building a huge parent community, and we get to be part of that. So lots of good things are happening at that school that are riding side by side with dance, but also make dance work there. So what makes it possible? Commitment to long term. We start where they are. So each teacher, we would only work with the classroom of teachers that really wanted to come and do side by side professional development with us while we were doing it. The whole school did PD with us in group, but this is kind of a more in-depth thing. We started with enthusiastic teachers. There was one teacher that was the holdout. Mr. Horton walked out of that first PD and he said, "This is crap." And then finally, and everybody was worried about it because it's such a tight teacher community. Everyone was like, well, what are we going to do to get Horton to love it? And I said, it doesn't matter if he loves it. Let's get all the kids loving it, the parents loving it. Those of you that love it, let's get you keeping loving it. And we'll see. And so this year, our manager of that school came into my office and she said, I have to bump the kindergarten this semester. And I said, why? And she goes, Mr. Horton wants dance. And I said, you're kidding. Horton's class is like analyzing the Ailey company, and then they're making dances based on the kind of characteristics of that company. Then they took those characteristics into analyzing the ballroom dance movie. And so, yeah. So we waited till he was ready. So you start where people are, you wait till they're ready. You don't try to lead a horse to water. You know, it's just, for us. This is what works for us. And you build organically. We have really at the core of the work is a very strong artist-teacher partnership. This will not work if the school consumes us, consumes the artist, buys it, can of peas, I want this can of peas, okay. It just won't work because the school community, we are a guest at the school community. Until California has a dance teacher credential and every school can hire a credentialed dance teacher, the arts teachers are often guests. So we have to be guests in partnership. So built into so it's a relationship-based professional development arts learning model. So the goal is not to have the classroom teachers be expert dance teachers. That's just way too much. The goal is to really have them know enough about dance so that they can integrate it into their own emergent curriculum, and they really understand what dance integration is versus standards-based dance, because arts integration and standards-based dance are two different things. There's a need for both. But the specialist really is responsible for adhering to the standards. That's their job, and making them happen and making them visible and helping the kids see that, yes, maybe it looked like you were still dealing with space, time, and energy, which are the three elements of dance, in first grade and second grade and third grade, but look at what you're doing now. You're doing contrast and continuity and symmetrical and asymmetrical dances. Wow. You know, that's a very different thing than you did in second grade. Both are committed. Our dance teachers get paid to reflect with the classroom teacher, paid to plan with the classroom teacher. Sometimes they just go have lunch with the classroom teachers. Sometimes they, you know, go CD shopping together. I mean, they've just done all kinds of things, but the idea is that it's really about a relationship. It's about co-learning. It's about collaboration. We have a couple of fifth grade teachers now that, in addition to their weekly dance class, are teaching classes on their own. They're choreographing a dance on their own for the assemblies. And, you know, because they've been with us long enough that they wanted to take that on, not because that was an expectation. I said we involve the whole community, so we have family dance events. We have a family newspaper, a newsletter. We put out a newsletter in Spanish and English about dance. Luna has a lot of other community programs, and we make sure that parents know about them. A lot of our community programs are no cost anyway, so the social service type programs, we make sure that the social worker at the school knows about it. Our studio program, we provide scholarships. Our summer dance camps, we make sure there's scholarships so that, you know, dance can, for the kids that really have the bite for dance, they can do as much as they want. And then I think the final kind of thing that really makes it work is that I said before that the dance teachers hold on to the standards, and I want to say that's the hardest part, because there are so many trends and whims and initiatives and clever ideas around arts learning that dance teachers sometimes, we're very flexible people, literally and physically and metaphorically. So sometimes what happens is we want to sell ourselves. So if someone says, well, I thought I was buying this can of peas, but couldn't you really just teach tango to my kindergartners? You know, and I think that we'll try to do that. We'll try to make that happen. And instead of feeling like we have to be stewards of the art form, and that doesn't mean we can't take good ideas and because, you know, dance is about everything, so you can bring anything into it. But that learning is spiral, that it deepens, and it deepens. And so we have to stay smart and responsible to the art form ourselves and not just keep doing our clever lessons year after year after year. So we have some sample units in here. Every year, we still make an original unit for that class together, collaboratively, classroom teacher, dance teacher, the whole team for that grade, and me. And then each teacher pair can make their own lessons off of that unit. So we know that when that child goes into third grade after second grade, they're ready. There are no big gaps. So that's kind of the basic how, and I think Nancy's going to now talk a little bit about what we've done and what it looks like.
So anyway, I'm just going to share some stories of what's happened during the school year and during the past 5 years. And one thing I do want to say about New Highland, which I think is a success story in itself, we've been working with Phil Reedy, the Visual and Performing Arts Manager, and he painted a picture for me of what that school was like before it became a new small school. And although we don't have tangible evidence, because we didn't do a research project on how did the dance and visual arts program affect the environment at the school, I really just anecdotally feel like there has been an effect. And he told the story of a school where the music specialists would come to the school. Never taught. They didn't have dance. They just had the music specialists in the district. And you would never teach because you spent the whole time breaking up fights. And he recalls one time just kids running around in the classroom chasing each other with a baseball bat, trying to beat each other up. Nothing, no documentation on the walls of student learning because the 4th and 5th graders would rip it down and graffiti over it. And if you went to the school now, so this is a story I want to share because this is 5 years later, and I invite any of you to come visit the school. We have people come visit the school all the time for the dance program. Is on the walls, every evidence of student learning in all the subject areas, art all the way to dance. We have a dance bulletin board, just beautiful documentation of the student learning, and the kids are so proud of their work. They take great pride. Patricia told the great story about the 5th graders that are willing to take risks. In a moment, we're going to just see some video clips of a process that they went through to create a dance that they performed last year in Union Square with 600 other students from other schools and professional companies. They are really just, that's like what they want to do. And one of the reasons Mr. Horton's class has dance is because his students were demanding it, and he just finally gave in. He's just like, okay, fine. You want dance? You know, you kids, you haven't gotten it yet. Well, you have it. So the 5th graders last year had the opportunity to perform at Bay Area National Dance Week as part of a flash mob. And they started in the 2nd semester using what they had learned already about the elements of dance and some choreographic principles. And you have to understand that many of those kids, probably half the class had dance for a few years already. So this is part of the sequential scope and sequence aspect. They are actually ready to start choreographing a dance. And I'll just kind of, so let me just, this DVD, so I have to say they performed that dance at one dance. Not all the parents could come. They also, that year, performed their dance, I think 2 dances. Oh, you have to put your password in again. Thank you. At the 5th grade graduation, and at the 5th grade graduation, and the dance teacher for that class actually put together a DVD of the year as a present to them. So it's 10 minutes. We're not going to see the whole thing. At the graduation ceremony, at the end of the event, the parents were off their seat dancing with the kids, and the principal cried at the graduation. So I'm saying that because when this DVD was put together, it was, there, you can't see anything. Let's see. Yeah, if we could get back to that nice big window we had before. Oops, sorry. Oh, and where's my little cheat sheet? I think we were under view before. We actually did practice this. I actually did practice this, but now. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Okay, so sorry, it's going to be a little jumpy because we're not going to see the whole thing. Yeah. So the first part, you'll just see some photos of the kids working individually. It's one of the lesson plans. We make visible what's going to happen during the day, in the classroom day for the kids. Yeah. Then I'm going to try to... in this, now I can't advance my cursor. They're practicing one of the motifs they developed. Then they went on to duet work. So we'll show a little duet.
Next group, 6, 7, 8, go.
So there's an opportunity during each class for them to take a look at what they're working on, especially for this part, because then they're going to be working in groups to put their duets together. So I'm going to zip through. The group work, you're going to see them actually just talking to each other. But what I love about this clip is every 5th grade student is totally engaged. There's no one sitting against the wall, no, there are groups of boys and girls working together, and they're all really involved in the work. Then we're going to move on to their outdoor rehearsal, because they're going to be outside, so they had to practice performing outside on cement. They are right. So they're practicing part of the dance for the flash mob. So before I go, we're going to move on to the Union Square performance. And I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. The video footage is from a classroom teacher actually holding a camera that's bobbing around. So just kind of try to get the essence of what happened. It's hard to, yeah, she was excited, and that's kind of what we had, because we couldn't manage to get the professional clips from ABC News. They were in ABC News, that night. So.
I went to Union Square.
Oh.
I felt awesome because I tried my best, and I think I did great. And the class did too. Their clothes and like how different dancers they were, like with bells and.
The teachers and some of the paraprofessionals came on a field trip with them. Yeah, it's very Bobby. I apologize. There are 2 5th grade classrooms. Yeah, so she's trying to get both of them. The loud folks are a high school group. Yeah. I just want to show this one part. I can't fast forward to it. Yeah, we'll get there in a minute. Oh, actually, we got there already. Wait, did we get to that one part? Oh, I love this part. I have to show the part where they leap over each other because they were so proud of their choreography, and then they lifted another kid up. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll stop there. But what really, for me, what was impressive about it, because of the sequential curriculum and the fact that they were learning choreography skills, they were the only group there that actually had choreography that was on the floor, like they did floor work. None of the other schools or even the professional companies had floor work, probably because they knew they had to be on concrete, frankly. And they weren't in unison the whole time. They had little group breakouts. It all had a visual design. So. And that is because of the scope and sequence aspect of the curriculum and really advancing in their skills of dance making. One of the other things, so that was the 5th grade, that's happened that's really been lovely around the blueprint and the sequential curriculum is the kids actually knowing where their opportunities are for dance as they go on in the district. And we really have, Patricia talked about the link that we have with the high school dance specialists. And we also have a program going at a middle school. So the older kids at New Highlands and at another school that we're working at right now, Marshall, have had opportunities in the last 3 years to actually take field trips and do peer shares with high school students and middle school students. And it's generated a lot of excitement at Oakland. Kids actually get to choose what high school they want to go to. And with parents on the field trip, just knowing that what options are available for them in terms of having their kid go to a dance program of their choosing. So that's been really an exciting result of the peer share. And the kids, and that kids get to know what it's like to be in middle school. Like, and it's interesting to me that it's dance that has made that happen. Like that's not happening in the district. Elementary school kids don't go to visit middle schools, but they are in the dance program. So I think just in terms of the impact, just thinking about education in general and what the arts can have, the impact arts can have systemically is just looking at a different model of the way that we educate our youth. So, and I think part of it is because as artists, we're very flexible. We're like, yeah, let's just try that. We don't care, if it's really hard to get a bus, we'll just plan it for later in the year. All the logistical things I think sometimes stop schools and districts. Yeah, you're all nodding from really just taking the risk to try something. But we're just like, why not? So I'm just going to briefly go over some of the challenges so we have time for questions. Space is a huge challenge because one of the elements of dance is space. In fact, it's one of the major elements. So just folks not understanding we need to have a space, unlike visual arts where you might need to have paints or musical instruments in music, we really like space as the core. That's been a challenge, and we're still working. We continue to work with that challenge until the school gets a dedicated dance space. It has a semi-dedicated dance space. Patricia mentioned kind of the whims of schools and districts constantly shifting priorities, like every few years, what's the next thing? So maybe you're the groovy thing those couple of years, and then something else is groovy and asking to fit into a mold, which we have just chosen not to do over the last 5 years because things have shifted. And frankly, I think that it's been a challenge, but I think that's also made the program successful, just sticking to our guns on what we know would work. And then people who are in policy or are decision makers or in positions of power making decisions about the arts when they don't know anything about it. So with that in mind, we are actually working with Alameda County Office of Education, launching a dance education initiative, and we have, as part of their plan to bring arts to all the kids in the district, dance has actually been an underserved area in Alameda County. And recognizing this, we've started a dance education initiative that's not just Luna, it's a core of people who provide dance in the district. Yes? You have a question? Oh, 5 minutes. So anyway, so that's kind of the next step. Like, how do we take what good gems are happening and let kind of share this with the general public, but share this also with people, schools and districts with the decision makers in schools and districts. So.
We got a late start. So
yeah, we did get a late start. Okay, so questions. Yeah.
I have two. First of all, can you give me a sense of what your teacher-artist collaborative time looked like, when it occurred, how frequently it occurred?
Yeah, at the beginning of the school year, the artists, because we are guests, come into the classroom and just spend an hour in the classroom on the wall. I mean, like a fly on the wall, observing, seeing what the instructional practices are, what kind of documentation the teacher already uses, that whole bit. They have an opportunity they check in with each other every week, whether that be during a recess time, on the phone, through email contact. And then we do in-services throughout the school year that are both artists and teachers together, where they have a chance to after school hours on Wednesday. One of the things that they were studying in their 4th grade science unit was actually the planetary system. So we did a lot of curriculum with kind of attract and repel, so energy elements. And they also decided to learn actually the score for the planetary dance, which was developed by Anna Halprin. Some of you might know who she is. So that was one way that they integrated science into the curriculum. But what we found with the integration that for me personally has been exciting, although we have done in-services on arts integration, like you could do this or that in your classroom, and on the lesson plan notes, that the artists give to the teacher. They have ideas on what movement activities you can do in the classroom. It's really happened very organically for the teachers as they have become more comfortable. They have just taken things and integrated them on their own. And we actually just had an in-service, and I was shocked. Actually, I didn't know that the 5th grade teachers had gotten to this place when they said, well, at the dance assembly, we're doing 6 dances. And I'm like, really? What are the 6 dances? They're like, well, the 3 that we've been working on with the Luna artists, and each of us has taken on choreographing a dance as well with the kids. And so that, to me, that they, over the course of time, have been just kind of integrating on their own as it feels comfortable. And now they're like, okay, well, we'll choreograph a dance with the kids. To me, speaks to really what impact arts integration can have when it's coming from being driven by the classroom teacher and their interest, basically.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, thank you.